host. My name is Govind Negi, and I am privileged to have our guest Marilena Balde on the call to talk about her journey from being a fresher to a leader. So, welcome, Mari, on the call.
Thank you very much. I'm grateful to be here. Hi, everyone.
Yeah, and this is Mari. By the way, this is going to be our, in my knowledge at least, the first interaction where we are inviting any of the guests outside India. So that's going to be an interesting conversation. To my audience, with the obvious reason, this whole talk show will be in English. We'll try to make it simple. We'll try to keep it in not that fast, but we'll try to keep it slow. Anyway, I would like all of you to come over and ask questions if you have any during the whole talk show, and I would like to take these questions from Mari. We'll talk more about our guest and we'll talk about more on the topics we have today. It's going to be an interesting one. But before that, I would like to take you through the introduction video of Amrita Devi Foundation, and then we will come back and start our conversation. So have a look at our video. I would request Vidushi to play the video. Okay. I can't hear Vidushi, the sound. Vidushi, we can't hear the sound, but if I can request you to unmute yourself, maybe that will help. No, we can't hear it. Okay, I think we don't have the sound. So Vidushi, we can maybe stop sharing the screen, and I can give a very quick recap of what it is. Mari, anyways, you would have not understood it. It was in Hindi. Looks like the technology also wanted to give you a feeling without language here today. uh, so what we were talking, Mari, in the presentation is that Amrita Devi Foundation is an NGO which is basically working for a state in India called Uttarakhand. So it's a state with mountains, hills. I would not say earlier we used to have a lot of difficulty with the transport as well, but with India developing very fast, there is a lot of roads out there, even in every village. And there are a lot of facilities as well, but still, because it is a mountain and hills area, the industries are very less and there are less employment opportunities for people. So life out there is great, but it is tougher than life in any other suburban and metro cities. So Amrita Devi Foundation is working on two things. One is we are working on the development of women, upskilling of women, and making sure that they are self-dependent on themselves, whether by getting some employment opportunities or doing something of their own. So that's one. The second thing is Amrita Devi Foundation is also working on the climate change. the projects, the initiative which makes sure that our environment is safe and we are able to take care of our environment through our initiatives. In those directions, what we have done so far is that we have done afforestations, which means that there are lands without any forest, and we are planting trees out there, and we are hoping that in another 2 to 3 years you will have a complete forest out there. So we are trying to do those initiatives, of course, with the support of some corporates who are giving us corporate social funds to do all that stuff. Recently, we have also distributed some smokeless stoves, where, like, if the rural area, if any villager is using wood to cook the food and to warm themselves, they can use that stove to have an efficient way to do it. So that's another one. And in future, of course, there are a lot other things like biodegradable pit and many other initiatives which we want to do in this direction. So here is what we are as an NGO. We focus only on Uttarakhand right now as a state, with the limited resource and money we have from corporates. We only can focus there. So that's what we do. But one of the portion we started with the woman empowerment, and I think that's where today's conversation is more focused on. To our audience, Mari is from Netherlands. She's basically from Romania, moved to Netherlands, and I think she's going to talk about that also in her journey. And she has covered a journey, I'm sure, like all of us, starting her career from being a fresher to playing a leadership role in a multinational IT company at this point in time. We will talk a lot about Mari, her personal experience. Once again, I would request my audience to please make sure that they are coming, they are asking their questions to Mari, and I will be taking questions to Mari during the whole process. So feel free, you can ask any question you have, and then we will take it from there. Once again, Mari, welcome to our show, and looking forward to have conversation with you.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
All right, so let's start with a little bit knowing you better for our audience. So let me ask you if you can just tell a little bit about yourself, and then maybe talk about your upbringing, so that our audience can connect closer with you. So let's start with that, Mari. Over to you.
Sure. So if I talk too fast or it's not clear, please let me know, and then I can adjust.
Yeah, good.
So I was born in southeast of Romania in a small city called Tulcea, in a family that didn't have so much material conditions, so a pretty poor family. I have two parents and a sister who's 7 years older. I was born in a period in which in Romania there was communism. This means you didn't have a lot of choices of what you can do. So if you were offered a job, you had to take it. You were not, you didn't have many privilege, and also not many opportunities. You couldn't trust the ones around you, because if you were doing something that was not according to the rules, then somebody will tell you to the officials, and some consequences could be. And to give you an example, my father almost lost his job because he wanted to baptize me, and this was not allowed in that period. My parents always supported me to learn and to focus on my education, so that's why most of the time was spent there. And on their hand, they were focused on working on their own jobs and making a living. I remember that we could not afford much when we were young, and when how I knew that other kids can have more and then they are rich from my perspective was, for example, I went to a friend and she had a Tetris game that I've never seen before, and for me that was magical. That for me meant that you are rich. Or the same friend had a sandwich maker and she was
Okay.
able to make warm sandwiches, and for me that was the best thing I ever tasted when I tasted it for the first time.
Okay.
And that's how what it meant for me. Wow, they have something, they are rich, and we cannot afford much, but they were also good things. So that's where I started, and how it was life back then in Romania.
Wow, thank you very much for talking about it. And there are a lot of welcome notes, as you can see, are coming from our audience for you. So on behalf of you, I acknowledge everybody and thank you very much for welcoming our guest to the show. And thank you, Mari, for talking about like how that started. And maybe follow up on that little bit is that when we talk about, and I've been myself to Romania, I got, so to my audience, I got a privilege to work with Mari and share some time with her talking about not only work but also about Romania, about her own thinking about what's going on, and then Netherlands, and there are a lot of cultural differences out there. But I can say there are some things which I felt are also same in the way we see. And I think the way you started the story is that um, it was not an easy life for you as well, right? Even like, especially when we talk from an India perspective, we always say, oh, Europe, maybe of course you see a rich comes to your mind when you listen Europe or Americas. But what I can say is that, yeah, there are people who do go through a struggle out there to build themselves. It's not an easy life for everybody there as well. I think that is very evident from what you just said. And the second thing which I realize is that well, that's not that very prominent nowadays across the world, but there was always a differentiation between the boys and the girls. And I don't know about how did you feel about it in Europe and Romania and Netherlands, with your own understanding. But here in India, at least, there was, and I could say there is still a element where people want boys and they treat boys differently than girls. And there is always a different treatment for both. So maybe let me ask you, have you gone through that experience when you were a kid? And so let's talk about that, and then we'll move forward.
Sure. Of course, it depends on the family, but in the traditional Romanian family, then fathers and families like to have boys. And one reason is it's also because they take their name further. So when a woman marries a man, then she takes his name. So my father always wanted a boy. In the end, he had two girls. And when he had his second child, that was me, then he still hoped that there will be a boy. I was a girl, so nothing you can change about that. But he still treated me as his boy. So till later in my life, he called me daddy's boy. He was taking me with him everywhere. And in the beginning, I didn't know. I was a kid, so I didn't know how to process this information. I was just, yeah, confirming. And but I think it also affected my femininity in that period. I remember I was 12 years old and I had very short hair, and he was talking with a friend of his, and the friend asked, "Oh, this is your kid? Is he a boy?" And then I felt so offended, and I thought, no, okay, no, I don't have my earrings on. I have short hair. Oh, maybe I don't look like a girl. And I remember it hit me in a strange way. So I think it was the first wake up sign that I'm a girl. I'm becoming a woman, and I'm trying to learn and to discover my femininity. And it took some time, but yes, let's say that the beginning didn't help a lot with it. On the other hand, I also embraced the masculinity, or let's say the logic behind that we know that it's specific to men, and the determination, because I'm focused to action and I want to do stuff. I want to be independent, and this helped me a lot in my life to be able to have that, to take decisions, to do things, and to take life in my own hands. Let's call it like this. So yeah, it, it it helped both as a fuel. It helped also us to help me discover some things about myself, and to in time, in years, to embrace my femininity, and to learn how to accept it and how to love it. I was an adult a few years ago, like 10 years ago, and I went to a doctor who was working with energies, and he analyzed my energy, and he told me, your a man in the body of a woman. What happened? So that was also like a reality check for me that I have a strong energy from this direction.
Well, that's quite a story, and I think again there are some commonality. Like there is a feeling among families that they need boys to take the name of their family forward, because end of the day the girls are getting married and then they are going going to some other family and being the part of the family, wherein the boy is the one who actually takes the family name forward. So glad to hear that story, and just to know that how you have gone through it, and how it has transformed to you from your own knowing about yourself itself. In your first statement, you just mentioned about the the importance of education, and your parents wanted you to be educated, and education is one of the things which I think a lot of countries are focusing on. I think that's the most important thing which we should be working on, to make sure that it is not gender specific, but anyone should have the right to go through education, to make sure that they are able to make a good living out of it in future, or at least standing on their own. uh, I'm curious to know about your own education, and maybe if you can tell our audience how that started, where did you go, and go as deep as you want to. If you want to talk about the schools, how that school looks like, what did you study, and maybe I don't know what like subjects you were studying there, which college you went, how was that? Um, like as much as you want to give a context, we'll be more than happy to hear that.
Sure. Thank you for this question. If there was one thing that helped me to develop and to get where I am now in my life, I think that was education. And that was from the early age till the day of today. And I hope it will be through my whole life. And this was also one of the things that my parents always supported me to do, both me and my sister. They were always telling us, if you want to get far away, not only from here, but also to do something in your life, then you need to study. I remember we were kids and we were working the field, because my parents and my grandparents were working the field. My grandparents were from the countryside. They didn't finish school that much, while my parents, what they did is they moved to a city, they finished schools, and they had a bit better jobs, not only working in the fields, but this is their way to get an extra budget for their living. And we were helping them. That was normal back then. And they were telling us, if you don't want to do this your whole life, then you need to study, keep on studying, so that you can have a job, and you can do more than this. And this remained and stuck with me. Even from the early age, I learned a lot. I was pretty good in school, and if I think about why did I do it, I did it, I think, to make my parents proud, because for them it was very important. I did it for the competition, because also for me it felt that it's something that I can influence, I can control myself, and I liked to see the good results of studying. And sometimes I also did it for the teacher. For example, I was 13 years old, and then I really liked chemistry. I was studying a lot, and I went to some competition. It was called Olympics in chemistry. And I managed to get to the national state, to the chemistry Olympics. I was so proud of myself. Then we went to a camp. It was the first camp where I was invited, and it was because of this competition of chemistry. And I managed to get third prize in the country. I was very happy about that. My parents were also very proud of me. And based on the prize that you get, you were getting an excursion. And it was my first opportunity to get an excursion and to go somewhere outside of the country. And it was an excursion to Turkey, I remember also now. And because it was third prize, then my parents were supposed to pay 25% of it to support the cost. But back then they didn't afford it. So then I didn't get to go into that excursion, and for me it was a big disappointment. But then I thought I hope I will recuperate, and that was one of my dreams, to be able to afford to travel. I think that's one of the biggest joys that I have nowadays, to be able to travel, to see different parts of the world, to discover different cultures, cities. And I think it was also fueled by that need back then. When choosing the university where I wanted to go, I thought of different things. I was thinking to becoming a lawyer. I was thinking to become maybe an investigator. And in the end, I decided to choose something that I knew that it will help me from the financial perspective, because I had these lacks. And then I thought I will choose something that will offer me a job in which I will be able to make some money and to be independent. For me, it was important that I can stand on my 2 feet, and I can um, live the life that I want to be with my own work and with my own results. And that's why I chose computer science. It was not something that I loved. It was not something that I was good at, but it was something that I knew it will help in the future. So that was the reason why I chose this. And I applied to 2 universities. I didn't want to put all my eggs in one basket. I thought, what if I don't succeed here and then I'm lost and I don't have any other choice? So I went to 2 different cities in Romania to apply for university for computer science. And in the end, for one, I succeeded in Bucharest for automatics, and in Cluj, in another city that was more far away from my parents, I succeeded getting into computer science. And I had to make a choice. And in the end, I chose the more far away city. I thought it's closer to the west, to the more developed part of Europe, and maybe it has more opportunities for me. And I also chose it because it felt the city is more to my liking. The people were more warm, more calm, less agitated, and a bit more cozy from this perspective. And I haven't regretted it. I liked it. I did university there. It was hard. Now my nephew is following the same university. And when I hear about the curricula that he has, the topics, the exams, I'm thinking, how was I able to study back then and to learn and to take those exams? Now it feels like it's from another world. But back then, when I was 20, 18 years old, then it turned out fine. With a lot of sweating, with a lot of learning at night, day at night sometimes, with not understanding everything that was shared, with talking to colleagues and learning together and explaining courses one to the other. But in the end, I was proud and happy to see that I managed to finish that university. And maybe also something about the choices in school. So the technical side of the university was never my strong point. I managed to finish it and to do it successfully, but it was never my strong point. And then when I started to work, I decided to choose a path that works both for me and for the company that I was working. So I tried to find a job in which I can be good at, and I can connect it to the university that I finished. So sometimes here the conclusion would be that sometimes it's helpful to choose something hard. So our brain likes to choose comfort, to be in an area that they know, that it doesn't require too much change. But this is how we manage to do something more. This is how we manage to evolve, by sometimes choosing something hard, something that we don't know if it's possible. And that's how we develop, that's how we manage to get to the next step in our career, in our life, and in our choices. Not only choosing what's close by, what's easy, and what's I don't know, what's the first thing maybe that comes to mind.
Yeah, thank you very much for taking us through that. And I would say there are so many lessons here for our audience in this, at least from my perspective when I was listening to this. And one of them I would say is that when you're going through a phase in the beginning of your life, and going through competition is always good. I always felt that they make you a better person or better individual when you are trying to compete in a healthy way with other people. It also tells you where you stand and what are the things you might need to do in a better way. And Olympics is great. I think we also have Olympics in India, and I know these are very hard nuts to crack, and you crack them, and then you were third in the country. That's really awesome. I didn't know about that. Well, that's awesome. And then I would say the second lesson is that when you're a place, when you're building your future, and I heard that you wanted to make sure that you have multiple options and you don't fall apart. You actually went to two different places to make sure that you get at least one of them. And I think sometime in our journey we do take those decisions when we don't want to risk a particular moment, crucial moment in your life, and you want to make sure that you are going with that and not necessary trying to put it into a bad place. And third, I would say is that life is never easy. And I have spoken with many people who are successful in their life. One thing I just learned from every one of them, and including your case, Mari, is that their life was never easy. um, it's not that, yeah, I got admission in this easily, yeah, I got this. I think the tough situations, and there are a lot of sayings in India about that. I'm sure in Romania, what basically tells is that if you have to become something important, something powerful, something strong, then you have to go through a tough situation, because a calm or slow water cannot teach you or cannot make you ready for the storms which you might see when your ship is into a storm situation, and that only can be done when you are going through tough situations in your life. So there are so many learnings in what you all just said. Um, and I'm getting a lot of responses from people you might be seeing on the screen as well. People are sharing their comments. I would again say, if anybody has anything to ask from Mari, let us know. We'll be more than happy to take those questions. But Mari, when we talk about tough situations, right? There are moments in those tough situations when you feel like, oh my God, I don't have anybody to just go to. And I'll talk about my example here, Mari, is that when I did my senior secondary, I don't know how you call it, high school in your relevance, like high school, like after that you have to go for graduation. So, but before graduation, there was nobody in my surrounding at that point in time. My life is very similar to yours. It has been a very roller coaster, tough life, and I can definitely relate with that. Um, I never found anybody to actually guide me what to do. Like it was like, yeah, you choose whatever you want to. Like there was nobody literally I could go to and just say, you know what do I do after this? Because in India, after your high school or senior high school, you have to choose a particular stream. Whether you can be a science student, or you can be a arts student, or you can be a commerce student. But nowadays there are multiple options. Like education system has completely changed. I'm talking about like 25 years down the line. Nobody was there to actually guide me, and I always felt that, okay, if there would have been somebody to guide me, I would have taken, I don't know, maybe I would have taken a different path, although I'm very happy the path I took. um, and I'm sure that might have happened with you when you must have realized that you need support, you need help from some or other in your life. And at the same time, there is a sense like, hey, when you ask for a help, does it mean that you are weak? Does it mean you look weak to the people? So I just wanted to ask, in your own journey, um, were there any occasions when you have to seek support and help, and did you feel that you will be exhibiting yourself as a weak person when you're asking for those help? So let's talk about that, because I'm sure these kind of things comes to everybody's life when when you want somebody to come forward and help you, or you want to get some support, and maybe people see you as a strong person, but inside you would need support. So let's talk about that little bit as well, Mari.
Yes, thank you for these questions. I really love it. So one of the things that my parents and especially my father did good was that he always believed in me. So he supported me, and he always thought that I'm smart, that I'm capable, that I can do a lot, and this gave me wings. So this was the type of support that actually helped me a lot, not directly. So you could get sometimes direct support, like an advice, like an idea, like somebody to shelter you, and or a job. And sometimes you can get support, like somebody believing in you. And I would like to start with that. There were multiple situations, a lot of situations in my life in which I needed support, and I asked for it. Sometimes I got it, sometimes not, and I will share with you some examples if you allow me. One of them was in university. When I got to these two places at university, to different cities, I didn't know which one to choose. So I started to ask my family which one to choose, where to go. Should it be Bucharest? Should it be Cluj? Which one should it be? They said, it's your work, these are your results, you can choose. So I started to ask my teacher, my I started to ask my friends. My friends, of course, they wanted me in the city where they were, and that was a big reason to choose the closer by university. In the end, I talked to more people, but indeed the decision I took on my own. And I think such decisions are really changing your life. And what's important here is to own the decision. So if you decide something for yourself, then to go further with it and to own it, and not to think, okay, someone said that and that's why I did it. So to actually take responsibility for it, and that was that was good for me. In Romania, and I'm sure it's not the only place, when you have challenges in your relationships or in your life, then they say not to wash your laundry in public, so not to share it with the other ones. So in my past, when I had challenges in my relationships, then I was not encouraged, or I didn't feel comfortable to ask for help, because I thought if I share this, then everyone will know, and maybe the chances of fixing it, maybe they are less than they are now. So I stayed for a long period without asking for help, and I didn't know what to do. That didn't help me that much. So I felt trapped. I felt like I don't have a solution. And me, with my own head, then I cannot find the way out, or the way to fix it, or how to solve the situation in which I am. In the end, I got the courage to ask for help. I went to therapy. I talked to a psychologist. I talked to a friend. And step by step, with an idea, with a support, with somebody being a mirror for you, and sharing what they see, sharing what they think is good for you, sharing some possibilities, or even just encouraging you and supporting you and being there for you. All of these mean help, and they can give you a lot of energy and a lot of drive, so that you can create your own path and go further. And those were situations in which I learned how important help is, and that you can get it from people that you know, you can get it from specialists, you can get it from a therapist, you can get it from a coach, you can get it from someone that you trust at work, someone older than you that's wise and that you can open up to. And seeing that I did step by step all of this without having courage and without being that comfortable to do it, and it helped, of course, not from one day to another, in years. So what the examples that I give here, and maybe then they happen in years of development and in asking for help. But I was happy I did it. I was happy I started with it, because it made me transform. It made me become the person that I am now. And now I know for sure that it's healthy to ask for help. it's healthy to consult when you have challenges with people that you trust, of course, and to see what are the perspectives there are, what are the opportunities there are there in the world, or maybe if cannot help you, ask if they know someone that can help you, and not to be shy with it. I also see around me colleagues or friends that are not comfortable to share it and to ask for this type of support, because maybe they consider they should do it on their own, maybe they consider that the other ones are too busy, or they have the problems on their own. And that's also true. Everyone has their own life and their own challenges. But what I learned is that people love to help and love to be of support of the ones around them. Sometimes the ones that they know, the friends and the people that are close, but sometimes even those that are one step further. People still like and want, and sometimes it's a big effort, sometimes it's easy. So if I would give one suggestion or one advice, is not to be afraid to ask for help and for support when you feel it's hard, when you feel you're trapped, or when you feel like you don't know which way to go. So I think this will take a long very good results in time, and for me it really saved me and helped me turn life in a good way, both personally and professionally.
So ask for help if you need help, right? So that's the message from Mari. And I think I agree that there are many people who just don't want to share their problems outside, and they think that how do you sell it what is the saying you said, when you have your like old clothes, don't do the laundry in the public, something like that. From a Romania context, I totally agree. That's the one. And second, I think going to a psychologist here in India is not considered very good, I think. But I saw that in Europe, this is considered normal, and people like to go share their problem, talk about that, and make sure that even if they have some mental stress, that goes away. And of course, you need to be surrounding yourself with people who are good, who are basically your well-wishers, where you can go, where you can be open. You don't think that they are judging you from the problem you are facing. And connected with that, Amari, I think I got a question from an audience, and I would like to ask you that. That's an interesting one. I think everybody has some role models and mentor in their life. So tell me, or tell the audience about your role model or any mentor in your life who has played significant role in your journey. So let's talk about that a little bit.
Yes. I don't know if it's only one person or one role model. I know that I learned and I got pieces of information, of advice, and of inspiration from more people that I work with. And there were some moments in which I didn't realize it on the spot. For example, I was working with a manager of mine who was Dutch, from the Netherlands. He was like 10 years older than me, and he was teaching me how to become a leader. It was my first job as a leader, and he was giving me a lot of advice. On the other hand, I was thinking that I'm the new generation, I do things differently, and how he tells me these are the old ways and I don't need to apply them. So we got into all kind of conflicts and discussions in which he was trying to help me and I was not open for his help. It took me some times, and again, in the end there were years in which I realized that his words were very wise and I learned a lot from him. And the things that I applied and the things that he was sharing me about how to manage expectations with the client, how to keep my promises and how to answer in a timely manner, how to be consistent with the quality that we offer to our clients, all of these, how to balance the costs with the time, with the quality that we deliver, all of those helped. And sometimes you need to filter maybe the language or the preconceptions that you have about the person that's sharing them so that you can extract the essence. So that's one example. I got also a lot of inspiration from books, books that I read and that were written, and in which I saw many women, for example, that had challenges in their life. And I'm talking here about Romanian authors, American authors, that had challenges and that they overcame them, either in their life or in their marriage or in their relationship with a child. I think that that also helped a lot. I went to trainings. I went to workshops, to trainings, to develop myself, and then I was trying to learn and to see how to adapt the things that I'm learning in my own life in order to develop. Later in life, I also started to do coaching and to get support from this perspective from a coach. I think what's important here is to find something that works for you and to try to get different sources of information. So to do reading, to listen to podcasts, that's also a source of inspiration for me nowadays. And where I hear someone that I like, that I resonate with his or her ideas, then I go to the podcast and I try to get more information. When reading a book, for example, Brené Brown, I love her, and then I read more of her books, that she talks about vulnerability, about opening up, about the courage that you need to have to learn about your emotions and to express them, to share them, and to get a certain awareness about knowing yourself and knowing the world. And one more thing that that helped me was my journey in my self-awareness. I think this is key in education and development, self-awareness. And I did this through yoga, for example. I started to connect more with myself, with my body, with my feelings, and maybe remove and try to be more kind with myself and with the thoughts that were saying, you have to do that, you need to do that, this is not acceptable, you cannot get some rest because you have such a big to-do list. So I don't know if there are necessarily one name or two names that I could say, but I think I got a bit of inspiration and knowledge and support from different sources in these directions.
Yeah, and Mary, I would agree to that. I think I'm also a strong believer that in your life, you cannot just stick with one role model and one mentor. There are multiple aspects to life, and for every aspect, you might have some or other. Like somebody is rich, right? You want to be rich like him, but he might have goofed off somewhere else, right? So you don't want that part to be inculcated in you, but you still want to learn from him how he became rich. Or you saw somebody in very peace, calm all the time, which I'm not. So calm all the time, and then you want to learn something from him. So I think these are the multiple ways, and I think I truly believe. I think what you have also said, and I would like to reiterate that for our audience, is sometimes we underestimate the power of books. I think from multiple leaders, including Mari, when I interviewed them and talked to them, one thing I've learned common, one, of course, that they have multiple mentors. They never have one. The second is they always talk about books. They always say, hey, you should read books. You should find time to see what other people have done in their life and what they have come up with. Now, there are multiple technology advancement. Podcast is there. YouTube is there. You have now Kindle. Like a lot of things are there to learn from. This is, I think, the message to all our audience, that if you really wanted to be, I would not say successful, like whatever you want to achieve in your life, you don't want to achieve success, you want to achieve peace, you want to achieve something, do that. And from your what you just mentioned, one thing I realized is that, and it is off topic, that even when I was in Romania a couple of weeks back, I met a couple of people during my dinners outside, not my colleagues, but other than my colleagues, who actually spoke about a lot about yoga, lot about gurus, Indian gurus, who are actually talking about a lot about the things which you can give peace to, and they're very, very inclined towards that. So I think when you talk about those, the peace of the mind, when you talk about your physical health through yoga, I think those are the also things which can help you. So thank you very much, Mari, for that. I'm getting a lot of questions. Unfortunately, I don't have that much of time, but wish to take those questions. I would request you to be a little bit of, like, we can do a, I don't know, I will not say fire, like
speed answer.
yeah, like speed answers, so that my audience doesn't feel that they didn't get the opportunity
Sure.
to get
Okay,
their
I'll
answers
do quick.
for everything. But here is another question for you from Archana Gupta, and she's asking, and that's very good one, I think. Everybody wants to know that what is your motivation, and how do you keep your balance between personal and professional life? Now that's a tough one.
Yes. Yes, I think it starts from the question of, do you work to live or do you live to work? That's one of them, right? So how much do you want to invest in that? And that life is what you have every day, and it's not necessarily work life and personal life, but it's a combination. It's difficult to have a balance all the time. I think you get signals from life and from your family on how it is. And there can be periods when you're more busy at work and you have a challenging period and you really want to give the best of you. And then you will dedicate that time and you will try to solve those challenges and fix that project, finalize it. And there will be moments when maybe you feel the family needs you. I think the image blocked, but can you still hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, and
Okay.
everything is fine. Yeah.
Okay, good. And about the personal life, I can tell you a wake-up sign that I got. I think 1 year ago, I think it was during the pandemics, and my son came to me, and he's 12 now. He told me, "I think you don't love me anymore. You're always working. You're always with your computer. I think you don't care about me." And this was, well, not you. You don't love me anymore. So this was for me a big hit and in the face, and a big wake-up sign that I need to give more energy, more attention, and more time to spending time with my son, and not to be so focused on work. So I think these signals that you get from your personal life, from your work life, and of course combined with your ambition, then can help you get the balance there. So be open to the signs, and also be kind to yourself.
Yeah, and that's great. I think we all get those signs, and we tend to ignore them. But I think the real thing is to just to make sure that we are able to capture those signs and able to act on it, as opposed to ignoring them. Awesome.
Yes.
And then we have a question from Vidushi Joshi, and she's asking about qualities and skills you are focusing on to develop yourself. So I think you touched upon it, but yeah, let's have it from you.
Yes. One of the things that I mentioned, and I keep on focusing on it, is self-awareness. So self-awareness and asking for feedback. So that I think feedback is a gift, and when you get it, sometimes it's difficult to digest or to accept, but it's so helpful and so powerful for you to develop. That's one, self-awareness, and where I am and where do I want to be. For me, another one is having courage to try things, because I also like to be in control and to know how things will evolve and that I can influence them. But that's hard and it's not always healthy. So having the courage to actually do new things and try them, and sometimes to throw yourself in some new, and that also gives me confidence. For example, I knew a while ago I had to go to my parents with my son, and it was a 13 hours drive, and then I thought I will not be able to do this, it will be too hard. And but I got motivated and I said, no, I need to get there, and that's for now in this period the only way to do it. And after I did it, then I looked back and I thought, oh, okay, I did this, something that it felt impossible in the beginning. So that also gave me a lot of confidence. And in the skills, I think it's important to look at what's helpful for you in your job, in your personal life. What kind of skills are relevant for you, and to focus on those, and to not make it an absolute to say now for 2 years I'm only focusing on this, but then to see what works for you and what gives you not only satisfaction but also the results that you're searching for. I think that's also important.
Yeah, that's awesome. Let me just pick another one. I think we have already answered that. This is a question from Hemlata. She's talking about the growth mindset and continuous learning. I think you spoke about it, having multiple leaders, coaches, books, podcasts. Is there anything else you want to add?
Sometimes talking to a friend, someone that you admire, or someone that you feel comfortable with and that you resonate with, that also helps, and it helped me a lot, as a mirror, as a reality check, as a new idea, as a new perspective. That I also recommend that. So don't only consider, let's say, the official or the, I don't know, high ranked sources of information, of advice, but also look around you, a colleague from work, someone that you feel you resonate, or a friend that got pretty far, that you admire and you think that can offer some support and some good ideas.
Okay.
Just try it out.
That's awesome. Before we go to the closure, let me take a last one. I'm not sure how much you have the information here, but the question is there any government scheme in Romania to support underprivileged group? Do you know, specifically to empower women?
There are also NGOs in Romania offering support for the society and for those that are not privileged. I don't know exactly the names of those NGOs. I can search for that if that's helpful. For women, there is support, for example, for abuse, because there are unfortunately a lot of situations in which women are abused and they are afraid to talk about it, or to share, or to get out. They cannot get out of a relationship because they don't have the financial to support themselves, and also the society, it's really judgmental sometimes for them, and there are these kind of NGOs to support them. Unfortunately, not enough, and I think it's a combination between education, support, and what we can do for ourselves to encourage and to evolve in these situations.
Perfect. All right. So before we close our conversation today, Mari, your message to our audience, and majority of them are women, but of course there are both the genders here, but majority of them are women. What is your message to them? What they should do in their life? How they can work towards having a better life? And I think you're the right person. You have gone through this journey by yourself. What would be your message to our audience today?
So I will start with get to know yourselves. Get to know what are your strong points, what are your weak points, what works for you. Learn about and think about what motivates you, what gives you energy, what makes you wake up in the morning and makes you want to go through the day. What are your values? So try to discover yourselves. It's helpful to put it in writing, to write it in a journal, so that the thoughts then they get more order, and you can process them better. What is your dream? What do you want to achieve in your life? Think about it. Try to put it on paper, and start to think of what are the steps that you can do, and who are the people that you can team up and ask for help in order to do that. And also an important one, don't remain at the dreaming part, but start to learn, take action, do something about it. Think about what can I do what will it help me? Do one small step every day. Don't remain in the same spot where you are. You know how they say, you're not a tree. Move. If you don't like where you are, just move, because you're not a tree. You don't have the roots there. So I think this is my advice.
Yeah, looks like we lost Mari. She must have pressed the wrong button accidentally. So we'll wait for a while while Mari joins back. But I think the message she wanted to give to all of us is that we have to we have to dream big, but we just don't have to keep dreaming and do nothing about it. I think that's the message she wanted to give, and that's really important. That you should be always making sure that you are taking some steps when you're trying to achieve something in your life. So that was Mari. Let's see if she could join. Otherwise, that is what we wanted to understand from her. Here she is back. Let me take her on the camera here with
Oh,
us.
sorry, I don't know when it was stopped.
No worries, Mari. I was just trying to give a brief to everybody about what you were saying, and I was trying to summarize that. um, Dream, but just don't only dream, right? Take some
Yes.
actions on those
Take
streams, right?
action, do something about it, and move from one step to another. Make small steps so that you move further and you don't remain in one place, because you're not a tree. So if you don't like where you are, you can move. It's not like you're a tree with the roots. And what I was saying, and I think it was stopped, then use the fuel and the issues, the rough times that you had into your life, turn them into fuel that will support you for your dreams, for your goals, and for your ambitions. So get motivation from that and go further, and it will be okay. And I believe in you.
That's awesome. We also got a message from a trustee. You can see on the screen. She's my sister, by the way, as well. And she's saying that the message you're giving is really appreciable and commendable indeed. So
Thank you.
awesome. And Mari, that's a great one. I will ask you one more question because one of our prominent audience is pushing me to ask this question and not to leave without that. So I'll ask it for you. I think you touched upon that a little bit, but what she's trying to ask is that if you look back, and she's also starting her career right now. And she's very young, of course, and she wants to start the career. What advice you want to give to her in this early stage of her career to
Yeah.
become a better leader in future?
I think one is, don't put a lot of pressure on yourself, and don't think about taking the best decision of your life, and that will be the most important one. Take one decision, take what feels good, listen to your intuition and for the path that you have. Take one step and then reiterate from there. See if it works, what works, and then adjust. You don't need to remain on the same path every time. And be ambitious, also dream big, think about don't put yourself down. So believe in yourself. I think that's also important. Don't think, I will not do that because I'm not capable, I will not do that because it's too hard, nobody in my family did that, so I will also not. No, think good about yourself. Think about what you want to happen, not what you don't want to happen, and say nice things about you, because that will also help your mind and your motivation.
That's awesome. I'm still flooded with a lot of comments and questions. I apologize
Thank
to
you.
my audience that we don't have enough time. We are already over 15 minutes than the usual time we take to this. But it's a great
Thank you.
conversation, Mari. And thank you very much being honest, being transparent, and vulnerable. I think that's the most important thing, that you didn't sugarcoat stuff or you didn't make out things, and you just said it the
Yes.
way it was, the way your life is. And I'm sure to many of our audience, this tells them the journey, the struggle, the support system, the having a self confidence in self, finding right people in your life, and everything all together really helps you, supports you. It's not gonna be the same story like Mari has in your life. Maybe it would be a little different, but I'm sure those lessons what Mari said might be helpful you in some other way, in some other turn of your life. With that said, Mari, thank you very much for being and joining us. It's really helpful for our audience, and I'm sure you will be definitely coming to India some or other day in near future. If you do,
Yes, I hope
keep
so.
couple of days in your calendar to visit to Uttarakhand, the state of Uttarakhand, and maybe those audience who are asking these questions right now online might be able to meet you in person and ask those questions in person and learn something from there. So really appreciate, and those that's great. Those who will be watching this telecast recorded version, I'm sure that will be helpful for you as well, and you will be learning something other from your life, from this conversation for your life. With that said, once again, Mari, thank you very much for being. Any last words for our audience before we say goodbye?
Thank you very much for being here and for asking all these questions. Believe in yourselves and keep on learning. That's my advice. Thank you very much. Namaste.
Yeah, I like the last one. So thank you, Mari, and to our audience, let's meet next Sunday, 11 o'clock, with some other host, some other guest, and continue this conversation. Till then, goodbye and have a nice day to everyone. See you guys.